One thing that does kind of give me a little bit of hope actually is the kind of mainstream liberal opinion I see turning against Israel in a big way. Someone who I think is indicative of that sort of culture of elite liberals is, of course, John Oliver. John Oliver is someone that even your most standard Democrat probably enjoys, right? I like John Oliver, by the way. I'm not saying he's like a Stephen Colbert. He's not just like a propagandist for the Democratic Party. For the most part, I think he's one of the better of these kind of like late night political kind of comedians. And he's out here now saying that Israel is guilty of genocide. This is, pretty important in my opinion. And the way he put this is really good. As it says here, British American comedian and talk show host John Oliver publicly accused Israel of committing genocide in the occupied Palestinian territories on his popular HBO show. The episode, which aired July 28th and will be uploaded to YouTube on August 1st, that's today, featured a segment in which Oliver looked at the situation of Palestinians living in the occupied West Bank. During the beginning of the segment, Oliver discussed the anti-genocide slogan, never again. He said, a phrase that gets brought up a lot with regard to Israel is never again, an anti-genocide slogan often invoked in memory of the Holocaust, and it has always been open to two interpretations, Oliver says. There's the one that means this must never happen again to the Jewish people, and the one that means this must never happen again to any people anywhere, the comedian continues. And in the West Bank, as in Gaza right now, it's pretty clear which one the Israeli government has favored. And especially as long as Netanyahu is in power, he clearly is going to do what he and the worst people around him wants. And a lot of people obviously applauded this. A lot of people were very happy that John Oliver was speaking the truth. Someone said John Oliver has just said out loud that Israel's committing genocide on HBO and his YouTube channel with 10 million subscribers. He just did. However, there's also, been some predictable backlash from sort of Zionist liberals, stuff like that. As you guys can see here, this guy, Matthew Feinberg, says, this is standard Holocaust inversion, genocide libel, and some colonizer libel to color things up. I'll be canceling my Max subscription immediately. And I saw a bunch of unhinged replies from Zionists like this saying, like, it's one of the most hurtful and anti-Semitic things you can do to use Holocaust inversion, basically to accuse Israel of doing similar to what was done to the Jews during World War II by Nazi Germany, of course, which is ridiculous. It's not like Israel just gets to commit genocide and no one's allowed to point it out.
They get
a
free pass.
Sorry about what happened to you in the 1940s. Now you're free to commit genocide. No one is allowed to point it out. But
wow, I came back and you guys are indulging in insane anti-Semitism. I'm ashamed of both of you, and I want everybody, including future potential employers, to know I reject this and stand firmly against it.
But yeah, what's your reaction to this, Mac? Do you think it's important that people like John Oliver, again, a mainstream kind of liberal Democratic voice, someone that's probably enjoyed by any given New Yorker reader or NPR listener, right? Do you think this is important, or do you think it's just going to be more noise that can easily be tuned out by the MIC and by the Democratic establishment, specifically once they have Kamala in charge and everyone kind of goes back to brunch?
Sure. I mean, I think on the one hand, there's basically nothing that the MIC, the Democratic Party establishment, won't ignore. I mean, it would take a lot for them to actually change course right now in terms of the genocide currently happening in Gaza. But long term, I mean, I do think that it is a notable shift. I mean, that's one of the things that I've been focusing on a lot on my channel, is that Israel right now is not only inflicting an immense, incalculable amount of damage on Palestinians and potentially risking blowing this up into a massive regional war and dragging the U.S. into it, but they're also destroying themselves. Like, the Zionist project is going to implode in on itself. Like, this is not sustainable in any way, shape, or form. And I think a lot of people are starting to realize that. The other thing is that with somebody like John Oliver or with other sort of like normie liberals, part of the calculation, I think, right now is that Benjamin Netanyahu is, obviously extremely far right, but he's very pro-Trump. Like, he wants Trump to win this election because he knows Trump will do whatever he wants when it comes to Israel, somehow even more so than what Biden has done so far. Like Trump won't even bother with
Trump moved the fucking embassy to Jerusalem.
Right. Trump won't even bother with the finger waving about Palestinian civilians or anything like that. So I think that there is sort of an edge there with some liberals where they don't have a critique for the apartheid or the ethnic cleansing or the genocide, but they do have a critique of Benjamin Netanyahu. And so that sort of opens the window for them to be more critical of Israel on some of those things. So like long term, somebody like John Oliver speaking openly about this, I think is sort of like a notable shift just in terms of the American public's relationship when it comes to Israel. Like clearly this has the last 9-10 months of this have fucked with that in a very serious way, to where I think beforehand, most Americans probably didn't even really think about Israel, or they just thought that's one of our close allies. They're a democracy, whatever the fuck else. And this has really like changed that underlying dynamic. But again, like, is it going to immediately change anything about what's happening right now? I doubt it, but I guess it's nice to hear.
Yeah, to follow up on that, it kind of got lost in the kerfuffle, but I was hoping that it would be a story that really broke through. Obviously, the IDF filming themselves committing war crimes isn't exactly breaking news at this point. We have about a half a dozen examples at our fingertips whenever we want. But they recently have been filming themselves bombing like water purification centers in Gaza. And now there's an outbreak of polio in Gaza. I thought this would be something that really woke up the Bill Gates, Seattle liberals. There's been such a tremendous effort over the last 20 years to eradicate polio. And they're actually really good efforts. I know sometimes you'll read crazy people about how it's just Bill Gates' effort to like do 5G to everyone. It's actually really good that polio was almost extinguished, except now it's coming back to our most vulnerable populations, children in Gaza, where they've already destroyed all of the health centers. There is no treated water available for them to drink. So basically everything that they do to satiate their thirst, you have to drink water every day. You're poisoning yourself. The international community has not reacted to the, in a way that I was kind of expecting. Is this something you looked at all, Mac?
Yeah, I mean, it's just insane. I mean, I think that, once because remember early on in this, remember when I think it was the Al Ali hospital in central Gaza that was bombed, and then there was conversation about, okay, was this a misfired PIJ rocket or was it an Israeli rocket? And people were like, Israel would never bomb a hospital. Like, how dare you insinuate that they would bomb a hospital? And that was like another one of those sort of like cliff's edge points where it was like, okay, is it immoral to bomb hospitals, right? And then you move past that one, they muddied the waters on that. But then it's like, okay, fast forward a couple months, they've completely destroyed the entire healthcare system. They've completely destroyed the education system. As you said, they've attacked. This was not the first, water storage facility that they have attacked. They've been attacking farmland. They have been intentionally from the outset engaging in a mass collective punishment campaign of Palestinian civilians. They have been intentionally trying to make life impossible inside of Gaza, to make the Gaza Strip uninhabitable. They've been clearly doing this for the last 9-10 months. Right. And we've seen countless example after example of them engaging in wanton destruction of civilian infrastructure. And so then we get to the point that we are right now. So like, is a polio outbreak going to change the dynamics? Is this going to finally be the thing that puts it over the edge? It's like they've already destroyed a majority of the infrastructure in Gaza. They've literally destroyed a majority of the standing buildings in Gaza. So is this going to be the thing that puts it, like, I don't think so. I don't think that there's anything that could put it over the edge for a huge chunk of our, political leaders in this country. I think that they're standing by Israel no matter what. There is no red line. There never was any red line. It doesn't matter. I think that they could, at this point, I think they could literally nuke the Gaza Strip, and it really wouldn't change that much in terms of the U.S. relationship.